Get out your jean shorts and tuck in your t-shirts, because today we're talking about Corvettes. This E-Ray is in Riptide blue with silver stripes, red interior. It is loaded out, 3LZ. It's the best you can get. You look at the brakes, they're 15.7 carbon in the front, 15.4 in the rear. It's got the same width tires as the quote-unquote big brother Z06, 275 30/20s in the front, 345 25/21s in the rear. And these wheels are so sexy. One of the cool things you'll see on the E-Ray, which hadn't been done before, is the auto stop start kill button just on the inside of the console, as well as kind of a hyper recharge mode that makes this thing extremely aggressive. According to GM, that's what you should be using when you track it. So it'll quickly recharge all the ponies. Which all the ponies, 655. That includes the 495 6.2 NA engine in the back, as well as a 160 horsepower electric engine in the front. Now, some of you are going to see this 4x4 on the thumbnail, and you want to lose your mind about what 4x4 means versus all-wheel drive. Well, last time I checked, 4x4 meant you can run it in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, and this car does it. One of the cool features that they've added, which was much needed in all the C8s, was a soft close front trunk. Another new feature for the, I think, 24 and up convertibles is the window added on the convertible, which used to just be a solid piece of plastic and you couldn't see your engine. And I'm pretty sure most of the AARP card holders didn't care too much for that. So now you can actually open this up at Cars and Coffee and see it. Although it looks like you might be a star in one of the Saw movies if you reach in here. We'll just dial this baby over to stealth mode. Start it. And guess what? Two-wheel drive. The front two. And it makes the coolest sound. The E-Ray is supposed to weigh like 300 pounds more than, say, a standard Stingray. And I never trust what the manufacturer puts on their weights and measurements. I mean, of course, their dimensions with a tape measure are going to be accurate. But how much does it really weigh? So we're going to go to the scales right now with a half a tank of fuel and find out for realsies. So we'll just leave it running, we hop out, I push this button. I like to park sort of towards the middle. You know, in all the 2 times I've done this. CAT certified scales. We came in at 4,420 pounds with a half a tank of fuel and no passengers and no luggage. Now, for reference, because a lot of you are going to probably freak out and say, well, those scales are wrong, or you can't measure a car on scales made to measure big rigs. We put our extended cab OBS Daddy Bill truck on the exact same scales, parked in the exact same spot, with a full tank of gas, which is 25 gallons, and it weighed 4,480. So there is 60 pounds difference between an extended cab GMC Sierra stock back in 1989 and this 2025 Corvette E-Ray. But I will say, both the front engines in that truck and this Corvette made the same amount of horsepower. So we're coming up on that thing that all C8 Corvette owners just wait for, which normally takes 4 to 5 cars and coffee to reach this milestone, but today we're knocking that out. There it is. It happened immediately. I mean, the tack changed right on the nose. The heads-up display as well, which I know it's flashing for you guys, but it's not flashing for me. So you know what that means. Time for shenanigans. And I stand by what I said about the Z06 because if I'm not mistaken, the E-Ray does 0 to 60 in 1/10 of a second faster than the car that costs $5 grand more and gets 5 less miles per gallon. Now I know Corvette guys, especially in the high performance side of things, don't care about fuel economy, or they'll claim that, but I've been around it for a minute. And I remember how disappointing it was when my Z06 buddies with the 7-liter back on the 6th gen couldn't make the trips, like the day trips we were doing. They couldn't make there and back on a tank of fuel. Whereas like a C5, no problem, put a few 100 miles on a tank. So it does really matter, just real world, to not have to constantly stop for fuel. Another claim I saw, E-Ray gets essentially 1 less mile per gallon than a standard Stingray, and I know it's been spoken about ad nauseum. These were not designed to be a hybrid fuel economy car. That electric motor was kind of like back in the day the McLaren P1. It's only there for performance. And adding traction to the front end of a car is all about performance in these. Okay.
Turn your Charge Plus.
Charge Plus off. Traction off. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I feel like it's pretty fast. I don't even know if we stayed in it enough to go through the quarter mile. Okay, not once ever did this thing hunt for traction, which is impressive on like a 60-degree Saturday morning out here on these closed streets. And it does have the all-season tires that come standard on an E-Ray. I can't tell you how impressive that is. You guys know right now what the performance numbers were. I do not. I will definitely check that later, but exhilarating. Absolutely exhilarating. It does look like an SUV. Launch control. So much time to slow down. So much braking time. Carbon ceramic brakes, I love you. It, again, 60 degrees outside, the asphalt's about that temperature. This is a closed street that we were on Saturday morning. So extremely, railroad tracks. So extremely impressive. By the way, this does have front axle lift, which, sorry about that. My screen is telling me that we did 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds, which is phenomenal because we do have 2 passengers in the car right now, and that is not how they test them in the magazine. I'm telling you, I'll fight anyone that says the Z06 is the better purchase for this. I don't understand that mentality. Maybe it's when you start getting close to your 50th birthday cake, you see things a little differently, but to have the same or better performance, to not worry about fuel stops on trips, having the ability to go into stealth mode whenever you want, I mean up to 4 miles, but honestly 4 miles is a long time. Just the features on this car, I feel like they're cheap. I mean, the car, and I hate when people compare the Corvettes to the Porsches and the Ferraris and Lamborghinis or whatever else because of the gap in the price. Take that out. Let's just pretend like they all have the exact same price. Put them all next to each other and look at the numbers and tell me which one makes more sense. I know where my money's going.